Good evening, everyone. My name is Naomi Alberti, and I'm here from the Future Students team here at UniSC. It's my pleasure today to talk to you and to introduce to you a range of different staff members we have here at UniSC, including our current law program coordinator. And we're also going to have the opportunity to speak with our past students and alumni who have recently graduated here from UniSC. So a bit of housekeeping for tonight. It is an online information session. We will be recording this session and sending it back out through to you via email post-event, along with some opportunities to have further chats with us as well with our contact details. So before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we work and live and recognise their continuing connection to land, water and community. We pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. So just to give you a bit of an idea of what we're going to do today, obviously for those of you who have registered, you have an interest in doing law here at UniSC, and we're really excited to potentially have you joining us here at the university. For today, we have a range of different staff who are here and available to help answer any questions you may have about our programs and our teaching methods and what you could potentially expect as a law student at UniSC. So we have a Q&A chat function, and we've got staff members who are going to be on this throughout the night who are there to help answer your question. We also have the opportunity to have some of these questions answered live in our Q&A panel towards the end of today's session. If in the case where you have any other burning questions that pop up for you after the session, we'll also have our contact details so you can get in touch with us with any further questions you have. So a bit about today, we're going to be talking about what you can expect from the law program here. Also a run through of our teaching methods and our approach to learning, our facilities and connections to industry, because we know how important that is as part of any law program, is finding those fantastic employment outcomes and working in that space post your degree. We'll be talking about those career outcomes and speaking with our current academics here, as well as our past students, and the experience. So what is it going to be like once you actually do enroll as a law student at University of the Sunshine Coast? We're also going to run through some of the pathway options and the next steps. So once you do enroll, what are those next steps and what can you expect once you commence? So why UniSC? So we're a very young university and we're a growing university as well. So we're very much well known for our 5-star student experience. I know that's something for me as a past student here at the university is one that is really important. And one thing I think that really makes us stand out is our modern approach to learning and our work integrated learning. And that's something we'll be talking about in depth as part of this session, along with a focus on employability, because ultimately that's something that's of utmost importance when you're weighing up your options in terms of where you want to go as part of your degree. In terms of us as a university, we have a range of different campuses. So we have our campus all the way in the south from UniSC Moreton Bay, our Caboolture, Sunshine Coast, Gympie and Fraser Coast, as well as a range of different online options as well. So no matter where you choose to go, there's going to be options for you. I guess in terms of our options from a law degree, you'd most would likely be looking at our Sunshine Coast and our Moreton Bay campuses as part of that. In terms of support, we have a wide range of support. I think quite often people think once I start university that I'm on my own and, there's not going to be that support that I may have had back when I was at school. However, what people do not realise is there is actually a plethora of different options for you as part of being a university student. So it's really important to be aware of those options that are available to you and to make the most of it as well. So we're rated in the top 5 in Australia for overall student experience, and this is something we're really proud of. So when it comes to supporting our students, we get it right, and we've got a range of options. So we've got everything from things like academic and study support, be it that you want a bit of support perhaps in your academic writing and referencing, our careers and employment, who can do things like looking over resumes, job interviews, prep. It could be help in preparing for graduate job opportunities as well. And then things like financial support and scholarships, along with our student groups and partnership opportunities. And that's something I know Tanisha will definitely vouch for in terms of her past experience here as a university student, along with free counselling, disability and equity, and our student success team who are with you every step of the way. So if you ever are wanting a bit more information, you can search support on our website for more details. It's something I mentioned briefly before, but 90% of our graduates are finding employment within 4 months of finishing study. And this is something that we're very proud of as an institution, because those professional and practical learning experiences are integrated within all of our UniSC degrees, because ultimately you want to know that when you're doing a course, whatever it might be, that you're going to be using the same facilities, materials and equipment that you can expect once you're out there in the field as well. So that's a bit about us as a university, but what I want to do now is to take the opportunity to actually introduce you some of our current law staff, and this includes Dr. Ashley Pearson, who's our law program coordinator here at the university. So without further ado, I'd like to hand it over to Dr. Ashley Pearson, who can chat to you a bit more about the law program and what to expect.
Thank you so much, Naomi. It's wonderful to see so many people online today. We're really excited to have you here and, have some potential future students coming. So I am Ashley Pearson. I completed my PhD in 2019 and I have a focus on law, technology. I also like my video games and trying to figure out how the law works in video games and those emerging spaces. I joined UniSC in 2020 as a full-time staff member, but I've been working here on and off since 2018. I've also worked previously for Griffith University and QUT as both sessional academic and a research assistant. You don't need to know about recent publications, that's fine. Can I jump to the next one, please? Thank you. So today we're going to talk a little bit about our wonderful law program and what you potentially can do at UniSC if you are interested in looking at law. We have a range of degrees that are open to you. So we obviously have the straight Bachelor of Laws degree, which is currently a 4-year full-time degree. We also have our Bachelor of Laws graduate entry degrees for those who have completed another bachelor somewhere along the way and potentially coming back to think about retraining. For those who, aren't so quite set on a straight law degree, perhaps want a little bit more variety in their studies or are looking to go into more of a niche area, we also have a range of double degrees. So the double degrees include Bachelor of Law and Arts, Business, Commerce Accounting, Criminology and Justice, and Environmental Management. Criminology and Justice tends to be our most popular double degree. So as I said, it's a 4-year full-time degree. You can also do it part-time if you have care obligations or if you're continuing to work. We have, a lot of flexible ways for you to study. So you're not necessarily locked into one particular thing. And as Naomi said, for the law program, we are currently stationed at both the Sunshine Coast and the Moreton Bay campus. So Moreton Bay is a newer recruit to that. So we started the law program in 2022 at Moreton Bay. And our ATAR is 70 with a prerequisite in English, essentially meaning that you have to pass, have a passing grade in Year 12 English if you're looking to enroll. Because law, as you will, potentially come to learn, is all about language and interpretation and how you argue. So it is really valuable for you to have good oral and written English skills. I'm going to talk now a little bit about the way that we teach you. So we are trying to keep up with the modern age, make sure that you have flexible options that suit your lifestyle and suit your learning needs. We are aware that things are changing in the way that people learn, and we really want to acknowledge that and trying to be responsive to that. So essentially the way that we have all of our courses set up at this point in time is we have a combination of online learning materials and in-person tutorials. So the online learning materials, the quantity or the amounts that you'll have to study per week will differ slightly depending on whether it is a priestly course, which refers to those courses that are required by our accrediting body in order for you to become a fully accredited lawyer, And then our non-Priestley courses, which are our more introductory courses or usually our elective courses. So if you were looking to study with us, what a typical week might look like for you is you would be doing, if you're doing a full-time ordinary study load, you'd be looking at 4 courses per semester, and each course would have 1.5 hours of online learning materials per week, and you will also be including readings within that time as well. So these modules are self-paced, so that means you can do it whenever you like. If you're a morning person, you can get up at 6 a.m. and do it before you start your day. If you're a night person, we don't care if you're doing those at 2 a.m. at night. As long as you are getting that content in, we're more than happy for you to do that however you would like to do that. It's a variety of online, so the online learning materials are a variety of things. Most typically they are video like mini lectures, which are about kind of 15 to 20 minutes each. They cover a particular topic and let you really get acquainted with the case law, the statute, what the relevant kind of current law is for that particular topic. And then you will have probably 4 to 5 of those for each week, for each course as well. So we really like this because it allows us to have that flexibility in the content rather than kind of a static, sometimes boring lecture. So this gives you a little bit more engagement and a little bit more interest in the way that we're presenting that content. To supplement that, we also have the tutorials. So we are trying to give you the best of both worlds. We want you to have, your online hybrid wonderful flexible time, but we also realize that a lot of people thrive from having structure within their weeks. So each tutorial has a 2-hour time block, and that's per course per week, in which you will come together with your tutor, usually your lecturer, and we will actually work through the content that you learned throughout the week. We will make sure that you understand it, and we will usually do that through a variety of problem questions to make sure that you understand not only what the law is, but how to apply it. Because one of the things that is really important for law is that it's not just knowing the law, it's also knowing how to deal with someone coming to you with a problem about that particular area of law and knowing what steps you need to take to be able to solve that problem that they're presenting you with. So that's what a typical study week, I guess, will look like when you're studying with us. But we also have a range of other things to kind of keep you interested and also keep you connected to the profession that you're going to be moving into. So we do have a real world focus throughout all of our classes. What this practically looks like is a lot of our assessment are very practically driven. So instead of writing an essay, more than likely you will be completing mock letters of advice to clients. You might be completing, mock bail applications. You'll be doing simulated trials. There'll be a range of assessment that is built into the courses that simulates what you would potentially be doing in practice to make sure you're building those skills early and you're building them in a safe environment that allows you to make mistakes and allows you to kind of grow and learn from those mistakes as well. We also have a lovely moot court now Sippy Downs campus, and we are, I'm working on getting you one for the Moreton Bay campus as well, but that will take a little bit of time still as they're still building those new buildings. But the Moreton Bay campus really has its own draw cards as well. They have fantastic brand new facilities that are really schmick and really nice to teach in. So you kind of get a benefit no matter which campus you're attending. One of the other things I will mention is that you are taught by academics who are current researchers in their fields. So all of us, almost all of us, except for the ones who are actual practicing lawyers, are currently researching and publishing and working on world-class research within their fields. So you're going to be getting up-to-date information from people who care and people who have a great amount of knowledge. So why UniSC? Why us over potential other programs that you could choose? So the first thing I will note is that we are a smaller regional university. We don't hide away from that fact. We acknowledge it. And I actually think this is a strength of ours because it means that we have smaller class sizes. It means that we as lecturers get to know your names, we get to know your stories, what you're interested in, and we can actually help you achieve those goals more specifically, rather than you just being, another face in a sea of faces. We also focus on your resilience as a person, and we try and build into our courses and into our assessment an awareness of not only social context in terms of what is going on around the world, but also internally. Because it is, law can be a very demanding profession, as I'm sure Tanisha will tell you in a moment. But it's very important that you are able to build those coping mechanisms and those skills, because if you can't take care of yourself, you can't help others. So we try and do that as well. In terms of research, we also have an embedded honours pathway, which means that if you are interested in potentially pursuing further research, or you have a really strong interest in a particular area, in your final year of your degree, you can team up with an academic such as myself, and we will help guide you through a publication, the process of writing a publication and potentially getting that published at the end of the year as well. And that puts you in a really competitive position because you come out not just with a Bachelor of Laws, but with a Bachelor of Laws honours level. So it actually separates you from some of the other people in all of the other law degrees and indicates that you've completed a higher level of learning. So that is currently embedded, which means you don't have any extra time added onto your degree. It is done as part of your elective offering, which is, a really wonderful thing. For those of you who, potentially want to go directly into law practice, or you have a clearer idea of what you want to do in terms of an employment outcome, we also have courses that facilitate those desires as well. So we have kind of three main industry courses. The first one is law professional practice. This actually allows you to shadow some of our solicitors that are on staff with UniSC, and you get to not only watch them interact with their clients, but you assist them in their work as it unfolds in real time. So that course is never the same semester to semester, because it entirely depends on what matters the clients are dealing with at that particular time. So it's a really interesting and fascinating course. Then legal internship. Instead of being at UniSC for that one, we actually let you go out into the workplace, and you get to go into a firm that we will try and set up as aligned with your interests, and you work there for a semester. That is the course. And you will engage in reflective exercises, make sure you're building the right skills. But effectively, it's a small internship, and we've had quite a lot of people also get successful job offers from those internships because of the great work that they've been doing in those particular courses. In 2025, sorry, I'll just jump back. In 2025, we are also introducing a new course, which is Law 400 Negotiation and Dispute Resolution. And that's going to be a simulated clinic course. So in that course, essentially, you will get together with some of your fellow students, and you will actually be doing a mock law firm, and you will be corresponding with other mock law firms, which are other groups of students, on a currently evolving legal matter. So we're currently developing that, and we're really excited because we think that that will kind of serve as a capstone and enable you to draw from all of the parts of your law degree and really solidify that knowledge before you go out into the workplace. We also have a range of other electives that you can choose from if you are interested. So what else is unique to UniSC? So we have a really active Law Students Association. Our Law Students Association, I cannot speak highly enough of them. They are really fantastic people, and they are very active and engaged with the profession and also each other. So what that means is they are frequently organising competitions for other students, which means every year we run a negotiation and mooting competition. And they also have Meet the Profession events where they get local lawyers and barristers and judges from the community that they're based in. and they will invite them along and invite them to mingle with students over, some cocktails and canapes, which is a really great way to establish connections within those areas. And to let off some steam, they also do social events. So they also do karaoke, they also do bowling, because it doesn't always have to be work, it can sometimes be play. So they're really wonderful. If you do come to UniSC, I would very much recommend getting involved with them. We also have school engagement. So some of you may have come to us or toured the campus before because we offer tours. We also have the high school mooting competition, which allows year 11 and 12 students to come and moot in our moot court and kind of get a taste of the experience. So we're very much connected to the industry and the profession as well as the community. So when most people come and look at studying a law degree, they, generally think they're going to be a lawyer at the end of it. And, that certainly is the case for a majority of our graduates who do come out and they do practice law. I will note that the Bachelor of Laws is one step of many in becoming an accredited lawyer. Unfortunately, you can't just do the Bachelor of Laws and then, huzzah, you're a lawyer. There is a little bit more to it. So following completion of a Bachelor of Laws, you'll have to complete practical legal training. Then you'll have to get admitted to the court. And then you have a period of supervised practice where someone will be kind of watching over the work that you do. And this is the case for all law schools, no matter where you go. This is just the process to work through. So it's just worth contextualizing what that looks like potentially for you. But I will note that there are other outcomes. So although many students of the Bachelor of Laws do go on to become lawyers, there are other things that you can do as well. So you can work in-house, you can work in government, creating, new legislation or policy around that legislation. You can work in legal aid in the community, international law. You can work in dispute resolution as a mediator, or heaven forbid, you can do some research and become an academic. So there are many different career paths that you can take depending on what your interests are. And if you do come and speak to us, we'll be more than happy to try and facilitate those interests, particularly with those industry courses or through your choice of electives. We're always trying to get students to where they want to go. I haven't popped this in the slides, sorry, just before you introduce Tanisha. But I will also note that we do have some changes coming in 2025 to the Bachelor of Laws degree as well. So these will not affect your progression in any way. In fact, for students that do end up enrolling in 2024, there's actually a good chance that you can knock 1 to 2 semesters off your degree, which would bring it down to a 3 or 3.5 year Bachelor of Laws degree overall. So I just thought I would mention that because I know time is a factor for some people, but I'd be very happy to answer more questions about that at the end if there are any. But I'll pass it back to Naomi to introduce Tanisha.
Thank you so much, Ashley, for sharing your insights. It's always great to hear firsthand from people who are currently, teaching the program and are there supporting our students through this. If you do have any questions specifically for Dr. Ashley Pearson, do feel free to pop them through in our chat that we've got happening at the moment, and we'll have the opportunity for further questions directly for Tanisha and Ashley a little bit later. But without further ado, I want to introduce our next speaker, who is Tanisha Watts. Tanisha is a alumni, so she's a past student here at UniSC. She's a law and social science graduate and also has a graduate diploma of legal practice and is currently working as a solicitor. She's also studying a Masters of Law focused on family dispute resolution and is an associate at the Life Law Solutions here locally. She also volunteers with Suncoast Community Legal Service. So as part of today, I thought I'd throw a few questions through to Tanisha, which I thought would be of interest for those of us who are considering doing some study here. So Tanisha, would you be able to tell us about yourself and your journey to becoming a solicitor?
Yes, certainly. Hi, everyone. It's nice to virtually meet you all. My journey to becoming a solicitor was, firstly, I graduated in 2019 from the Bachelor of Laws and Bachelor of Social Science. So after I graduated, I went into a role working with vulnerable young people who were taken into the care of the department. And so at that time, I was doing my graduate diploma of legal practice through the College of Law. So that's the step that Ashley spoke about earlier as being required to complete after you finish a law degree. And that is essentially really honing in on all of your practical skills and the course I would probably say is between 6 to 12 months, depending on whether or not you do it full-time or part-time. So after I finished my graduate diploma of legal practice, I accepted a position as a law clerk at the firm that I'm currently at, so at Life Law Solutions. And then just prior to me getting admitted in the Supreme Court of Queensland, which is the next step after you complete your graduate diploma of legal practice. The next step, if you want to be a practicing solicitor, is then to get admitted in the Supreme Court of Queensland and then High Court of Australia. So I got admitted and then I started working as a solicitor. And for the first 2 years after you get admitted, you are required to do some supervised time, as Ashley was speaking about before, so supervised legal practice under someone who is an unrestricted practicing certificate. So I completed that as well. And I have also recently been promoted to an associate as well, which was something that was personally exciting for me as well. So at the moment, as I said, I am currently doing a Master's of Law through the College of Law, which is really honing in on my skills as a family law practitioner.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Tanisha. And it's, I think you're definitely an example of some of our fantastic graduates we've had here from the university. And it's sort of, that idea of lifelong learning as well. Even now that you are, a practicing solicitor, there's that, further learning and development that you've been able to hone into, including that family dispute resolution, which is a really big part, I imagine, of family law.
Yes.
I was hoping to maybe draw from some of your experiences that you had here as a university student. What was it like for you studying here at UniSC?
I look back on my experience as a student at UniSC, really fondly. I was really lucky that at the time I was studying with a great bunch of people, and the law school had only newly opened at that stage as well. So it was I was studying alongside a really close-knit group of people, all with a lot of motivation to studying law and then to go on to become solicitors. I also really enjoyed the student experience and learning from the lecturers that are in the law school. They are all really amazing people who are really invested in your outcomes as students. And I was fortunate enough to be offered some opportunities throughout my study, like doing research assistant roles and things like that, because I got noticed as someone who was passionate and motivated. So that was really special. But all in all, I really loved my experience studying as a student. I was quite involved as a student as well. I was a student ambassador for the university, and I also was a committee member for the Law Students Association as well, which was something that also I think was a really key part of my experience as a student. As Ashley was saying before, it's a really great networking opportunity for students and learning opportunity for students as well. The Law Students Association hosts a number of competitions throughout the course of the year and facilitates lots of different events that are designed to, facilitate you meeting the profession and learn from other significant people in the legal fraternity, which was amazing. So yeah, I really did love my time at USC.
Thanks so much, Tanisha. Something you mentioned there was being part of the Law Society here at UniSC.
Mm-hmm.
What does this mean for a student if they were wanting to be a part of something like that? And how were you involved in the Law Society? I guess it'd be great to kind of get a bit of an idea of what that sort of society is and how students could potentially get involved.
Yeah. So at first I started as a committee member, as a director. I was the director of equity and diversity. And then in my last year of uni, I was lucky enough to be voted in as president of the Law Students Association, which was a really, really, really special year for me. It only takes people wanting to be involved to volunteer for some of their events. So they often need volunteers for orientation week and volunteers for preparation for their events and different things like that. But if you want to be a committee member, all you need to do is go to the annual general meeting, which is held once a year in September, I think, from memory, and nominate yourself for a position. And if you're someone that's regularly attending Law Student Association events and, your face is out there and you're someone that, wants to get involved and is clearly passionate about what you do, I'm sure that, there's a position that's, for you on the association.
Fantastic. And it sounds like, Tanisha, obviously you had lots of different hats you're wearing as a university student. And I know that's the case for a lot of us here, is that idea of trying to balance work, life, and other commitments while we're studying. What would be your tips in terms of how to make it work when we are trying to find that balance?
Well, firstly, I would say that you need to look after yourself and you need to prioritize your well-being, because without your health, you can't do anything properly. And so I would suggest that you eat well and that you exercise regularly. Those are two really important things that I prioritize throughout uni. It's not easy as a university student to juggle everything, being full-time. You also have to, put a roof over your head and, pay for bills and different things like that. I moved to the Sunshine Coast in order to study at uni. And so I initially started out at student accommodation. And so I had saved an amount of money to be able to live at student accommodation for a period of time. And then I was then eligible for the student allowances, and I also had a part-time job just working in a local supermarket for a period of time, and then I was also working in another part-time role as well at different times throughout my degree. But my number one focus when I was at uni was to dedicate everything I had to being a student. So I just managed to work my work commitments around that as best I could. I worked on the weekends and after hours and different things like that so that I could, work that around my university commitments.
Fantastic. And so something you mentioned there was the idea of, student allowance and jobs and things. And we know the cost of living is a real concern for a lot of students at the moment. And it may be a bit of a factor that they're weighing up in terms of considering study. How did you make it all work? And what would be your tips for people who are weighing up those sort of concerns?
Yeah, it's not easy. It's something that you really have to be quite disciplined for, I think. I was a very organized student. Each semester before my classes started, I would kind of set out, look at my course outlines for each of my subjects, and I would put that on a big A3 sheet of paper and laminate that, and I'd do that for every single one of my courses, so I knew exactly when I had assessments coming up. As I said earlier, I worked my part-time work around my university commitment, so I was working on the weekends and after hours. I think it was in my third year of university, I then became eligible for some student allowances, which were also really helpful to me at the time. Yeah.
Thank you. You've definitely got some good tips there for those of us who are weighing up our finances and things. And what would be my final question for you would be, what would be your advice for someone considering studying law?
I would say that if it's something that you're passionate about, you should definitely do it. Law is a really, really rewarding career. In doing what I do, you get to help a lot of people, and it's really quite gratifying. So if it's something that you're really passionate about, I would say just go for it. You will have ups and downs throughout the course of your study, and you might think to yourself, I can't do this. And I certainly had a lot of experiences where I thought to myself, this course just isn't for me, I'm not picking it up straight away. But the thing that always carried me through, I think, was just knowing I knew exactly what I wanted to be, and I had an end goal, and so I knew that I wasn't going to be good at every single aspect and every single course, but I did excel in the subjects that I was interested in. So I would just say that if you are genuinely passionate about something, that will see you through.
Thanks so much, Tanisha. And I think having that sort of advice from someone who's lived it and is now, working successfully as a solicitor is just so helpful for those of us who are early in our career decisions and potentially taking that leap to study. So thank you so much. If you're happy to stay on, I'm going to open up the floor as well and reintroduce Dr. Ashley Pearson. And I've got a few questions for you, and I'll be keeping an eye as well on the chat to see if any potentially do come through as well. So I'll just reopen this for us, 1 second. So from your perspective, as a law program coordinator here, Ashley, what would you say would be your tips for someone who is looking at law and they've decided to take that leap? What would be your tips for them in terms of being a high-performing student here at UniSC?
Okay, good question. So high performing can mean many different things. So I probably the first thing I would want to actually say is that not to actually judge your worth by your mark. It can be really easy for students to get invested and wrapped up in, getting pure HDs or getting the best possible marks. I would probably potentially soften that a little bit and say, like, your best effort is probably the best thing you can do. Like, don't necessarily compare yourself to other people. You're on your own learning journey, and like everyone is going to have, different work requirements, different care requirements, different things going on in their life. So just like first and foremost, it's very hard to actually implement. But I would say like take the focus off the assessment, put the focus on the learning. Because like what you're actually trying to do at the end of the day is you're trying to, like Tanisha said, ideally help people. If it's something you're passionate about, you want to change the law, you want to change the world, like gain the knowledge so that you can do that thing. Don't gain the knowledge so that you can get a good grade at university. Because at the end of the day, like, yes, that's very helpful for jobs, but that's not necessarily the knowledge that you're going to be calling on when you're actually working in the profession. So if you want to be high achieving, whatever that means to you, potential classes, please do the work. The people that do the work really do shine, and they do become known to us because we can see that effort and we can see that passion. And the other thing I would say, as Tanisha also recommended, is join the LSA or get involved with other students. It's a lot easier to have a great time at university and to clarify things you don't understand if you have someone you can call on and just, be like, hey friend, I don't quite understand this property case. Can you explain it to me? And the fun thing is that those friendships and those, students that you're meeting, they're potentially going to become your colleagues in, 4, 5, 10 years. So those relationships will maintain, and you can still do that at a professional level at a later date. So yeah, attend things, don't be too hard on yourself, and make friends, probably my tips.
Thank you. It's always good to know, the ways to be successful once you start, especially for those who are potentially coming straight from school and are a little bit unsure on what to expect once they start. One thing I was hoping you may be able to draw from, and I think I'll open it up to Tanisha and then maybe Ashley, if you have anything to add, is what is it sort of like day to day as a law student here at UniSC?
Well, you would be doing your readings as part of your course content. So spending a lot of time doing the readings is probably where most of your time goes, to be honest. And then revising and preparing for your lectures and then your tutorials. I think, as Ashley said, it's really important to have friends at university that you can go through the process with, and that's something that I certainly had. So I'd spend a lot of time at the library in study groups and revising for exams and different things like that. But day to day, you would be preparing for your lectures and then going to your lectures or participating with them online and then going to your tutorials. And if you're a student that wants to do well, you also engage in the tutorial material and prepare for the tutorials, and that's how you get the most out of it, like Ashley was saying before.
I completely agree. The tutorials are really, at this point in time, the way that it's currently structured, the tutorials is really where your hands-on learning happens. Like working through the statute, working through the case law. We don't do that live anymore, and this goes to one of the Q&A questions that did pop up. Mostly because it was very passive. Like students, came, they listened to me speak for 2 hours. There wasn't a lot of engagement. Instead, we've shifted that to online so that you can engage with that whenever you like. And the tutorials is really kind of where the magic happens, where it all comes together. And that's where you can clarify things. We work through those problem questions. And if you ever do have questions, like, please don't feel afraid of your lecturers. We literally are here to help you. That is our job. And we want to help you. We want to make sure that you're succeeding and doing everything that you're trying to achieve. So yeah, please feel free to reach out if you're ever in that scenario.
No, thank you. And I think that's something I can really vouch for as someone who's done some study here at UniSC, is that our lecturers are extremely friendly and they are always happy to lend a hand. And sometimes it's just a matter of, approaching them about a question you might have or something you're struggling with. I know all the lecturers I've ever met here are always happy to help students wherever they can. So don't be afraid, don't be a stranger. I think probably a question I might hand over to Tanisha is, what did you like most about studying at UniSC and specifically law? And I think something as well we can draw from is perhaps the potential of doing dual degrees and whether that's something that swayed you in terms of choosing UniSC as a law student.
Yeah, so definitely being able to do the dual degree was a big draw card for me, because at high school I was studying social science, and that was something that I found was really interesting to me, and I wanted to pursue that further. But I also knew that I wanted to be a lawyer, and so I thought, how can I combine this? And so I was really happy that USC offered the degree that I did, and then I later majored in criminology as part of my social science degree, which it was amazing, and directly relevant to my practice now as a family lawyer who does a lot of parenting stuff. A lot of it intersects with child protection work, and there's a lot of intersection between mental health problems and criminal behavior and social behavior. And so I found all of those things really interesting naturally. And so doing the dual degree for me was a bit of a no-brainer. And it's something that employers, I think it sets you apart from other students who just choose to do a single degree. Not that that isn't enough, but it certainly piqued the interest of my current employer. She was definitely interested in hearing about my study and my learning, and she's actually gone on to do further study in that area as well, based on some of the things that I've spoken about. So I definitely think that it's a worthwhile experience. And law is quite how would I say it, there is a lot of reading, and it can be quite dense at times, if that makes any sense. And so having the I guess break between doing law, for example, constitutional law, which is quite theoretical and yeah, it's quite involved, to then doing something like criminology, which I just found to be really, really interesting. It was really good to have that contrast. That was something, yeah, that I found as well.
No, thank you. And that's something I do hear from a lot of students who are sort of considering whether or not to do the dual or the just straight law degree, is that idea of being able to have multiple interests and being able to break up a bit of those law subjects with something else. Might hand this one over to you, Ashley. And I just want to encourage everyone, if you do have a burning question, do feel free to pop it through the chat. If not, I would say, for yourself, Ashley, I know that you teach quite often out of our Moreton Bay campus. I wasn't sure if you want to share a little bit about what it's like studying law from that campus specifically from your perspective.
Yeah, sure. So obviously I've never studied at Moreton Bay because it's new. But from my perspective as an educator there, it's still a developing program, so it is still quite fresh off the ground. But we have a very small but very dedicated number of people who are studying there. We've also found that some of our Sunshine Coast students have been able to move there because it's been closer to home, or there's a bit more flexibility for those working, for example, in the city. Instead of, commuting all the way home for a class, they can kind of pop in, do a class, and then go back to work. So that's been really fantastic there as well. Probably the biggest draw card of the Moreton Bay facility is just their beautiful rooms, their beautiful technology. It's all very new, which means like it's really cutting edge in the way that the learning and the teaching is set up. So it's probably a little bit more visually accessible, I would say, in the Moreton Bay campus, because you've got 6 screens in every classroom, and you can share things. And one of the things that I like to do when working from the Moreton Bay campus is students can often sit in groups and they have their own monitor. So I'll often get them to do group work on a particular monitor, and then we can share that monitor to the rest of the screens as well. So like everyone can see what everyone's working on. And sometimes that's really helpful, because when you have one person explaining a thing a particular way, it's not always the way that you as a student need to get it. And sometimes seeing how other people are understanding it or how other people are mind mapping it or visualizing it can really assist in like that, oh, click, I understand moment. So I think the Moreton Bay facilities are really helpful to make sure that a lot of different ways of expressing the same ideas and the same concepts are covered to make sure that everyone's kind of brought along that learning journey.
Thank you. No, that was a really good answer. And for those of you who haven't already seen our campus at Moreton Bay, I'm definitely encourage you to have a bit of a look online to get a bit more information. As we mentioned as well, we've also got our Sunshine Coast campus, which offers the law program too. But just want to reiterate for everyone, if you do have any more burning questions, do feel free to pop it through the Q&A chat. But thank you so much to Dr. Ashley Pearson and Tanisha for jumping on our Q&A panel. I've just got a few more slides now just for those people who are considering coming to UniSC, just to run through what to expect next as part of the program. So in terms of people who are considering some study and haven't already made that leap, you can still do so via our QTAC. So you head to qtac.edu.au. One thing you want to do as part of your applications is you get up to 6 preferences with QTAC. Generally, our advice is that your preference 1 and 2 would be your 2 preferred programs. So these are the programs you want to study the most. So it could be that you're thinking about doing potentially law and criminology and justice, potentially as a number 1. And then you would then look at backup programs as well. So these are generally less competitive programs that you may still be interested in as your preferences 3 and 4. And then for your preference 5 and 6, you're looking at pathway programs. So these are programs that will help you upgrade into the one course that you really want to do. So for example, if I'm thinking law with a combination of criminology and justice, I might have just a regular Bachelor of Criminology and Justice as a pathway program, or also looking at things like tertiary preparation pathway. That's probably, while we're on the topic as well, if there is anyone here today who is thinking of doing law but unfortunately does not have the prerequisite that they need, we do have an option called our tertiary preparation pathway, which is worth considering as part of your QTAC preferences. What it does, it allows you to study that course in order to then gain entry into the program. It's a fully funded program, so there's no costs involved for yourself. If you do have any questions about that or need more information, feel free to jump on the chat, or you can contact us for more information. So in terms of what to expect next, so as part of your application, and hopefully you've got us as your number 1 preference because we'd love to have you, you'll receive an email from us with an offer to study here at UniSC. Now it's really important as part of that you accept that offer, and you also accept the offer from us as well. I know I always think back to when I was in year 12 and I was considering study. I actually started in a Bachelor of Laws, believe it or not. And I accepted my QTAC offer. I was really excited, but then a few months went by and I was wondering why I hadn't heard anything. And I contacted the uni at the time and soon realized it's because I hadn't taken that next step. So please learn from my mistakes and make sure you accept both those offers. Once you've accepted your offer, you can then start to enroll in your courses. So what you'll want to do is head to the program page on our website. So if I was doing a Bachelor of Law, I would search law on the website and I can have a full list of all the different subjects I can enroll in based on my location and my mode of study. There is the opportunity to potentially study part-time if that's something of interest to you. That's usually where you do 1 or 2 units per or subjects is something a lot of people use in terms of terminology. And then I can then map it out that way. Full-time is usually 4 courses. And then register for classes. So class selection can be quite competitive. So make sure you get in as early as you can so you can choose your preferred class times, and you can have a bit of a look in terms of what that class timetable may look like before the class selection opens. So it's really important where you can check your emails because there's updates as class registration opens. In terms of uni success, so I know Tanisha and Ashley had a range of different tips for you throughout today, but just a few from our end. in the marketing and communications team is to look at attending orientation week. So this happens the week before classes commence. They'll often have sessions that are related to your program area of study. They also offer things like campus tours. We'll have the student guild with different, the Law Society, for example, and different clubs and groups that you can potentially join to meet other like-minded people. So definitely make the most of that opportunity. And something I think Tanisha mentioned with is to really get involved. So, and it's also something Dr. Ashley Pearson mentioned, is trying to go to class and put in the work. We do find the students who do attend those classes and do immerse themselves in the experience nice and early as part of the semester tend to perform better. So something to keep in mind is making the most of those opportunities that are available to you as a law student. And get support. There's so much support here at the university, and we want you to be successful. So please don't hesitate to get in touch. We have a range of different services that are available to you as a university student. So please don't hesitate to get in touch. You can always search support on our website to see the range of different areas that are available to you. And find a balance. So we know, especially at the moment, a lot of people are balancing multiple things, be it work, family life, social life. It's important that you enjoy your university experience. We want you to make the most of it. And it's really important to have that balance. So scheduling time to potentially meet with other, friends that you meet along the way, trying to find time, to head to coffee where you can and, exercise. We've got, gyms on campus, things like that. So really important to find that balance, as well as making sure we've got dedicated time to focus on our studies and our classes as well, and get involved. So I think university is a really fun and exciting time for a lot of us. And I think the more you can immerse yourself in the experience, the more that you're going to get out of it and the more successful you're going to be as well. And I think speaking with people like Ashley and Tanisha is really an example of that, of, getting involved and having those amazing outcomes at the end of it. In terms of how you can connect with us, if you do have any questions from today that we haven't got to, we will stay on the line for a few more minutes with any burning questions you have. Feel free to pop them through in the Q&A, but don't hesitate to get in touch. There's our email. It's information@usc.edu.au. You can also contact our Student Central team as well, and their phone number is here on the slide. But also feel free to follow us on social media. We've got our Facebook and Instagram, along with our YouTube, where we'll be posting the video from today, and our Twitter pages as well. So please don't hesitate to engage with us. We're going to stay on the line for a couple more minutes for anyone who does have any burning questions, but I want to thank everyone so much today for tuning in. If you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to shout out and let us know. But if not, we really hope and look forward to seeing you here at UniSC next year.